Rodgers returns from an Achilles injury in one of the most anticipated storylines of the season. How's that bad man looking? We'll have to wait until Monday Night Football opener versus the 49ers to find out. The Jets confirming yesterday that Rodgers would not get any preseason snaps in their final tune-up match. Chris Canty had a big take on Rodgers and the Jets this week. Take a listen.
The New York Jets.
I knew that was coming.
I don't think they got the guy. 40-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles injury. I don't believe that we're going to see the same version of Aaron Rodgers that won back-to-back MVPs 3 years ago. I think life comes at you fast in the National Football League. We're seeing that a little bit with Russell Wilson and how quickly he has regressed. I think we're in store for Aaron Rodgers playing an extended period of time over the course of this season, but us realizing that he's fallen off a little bit when it comes to his ability to be a difference maker at that position.
Bart, your reaction. I see you shaking your head.
Who hurt you, Chris? I don't know what's his gripe with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, man. He's kind of been on the Jets for a while. But listen, take it from somebody who's seen it with his own eyes, right? Remember, I played against Aaron Rodgers the year that they won the Super Bowl. We had a nice little matchup in MetLife Stadium, 9-3, I believe, right? And I seen the same quarterback because I've been to practice 3 times. Now, I've been to practice, and I've seen Aaron Rodgers dominate. If anybody heard the reports, and I know it was against the Giants, the joint practice, but if you look at the joint practice, him and Garrett Wilson has been virtually unstoppable. Listen, he still can think the game. He's still physically fit. He's still a guy that's mobile. He's more mobile than Tom Brady and Peyton Manning will ever be, even with him being at the advanced age and dealing with the injury. This is a guy that is a football savant. He's a guy that knows exactly what the right play to get you in. You heard Mecole Hardman last year, even with all his gripes with the Jets. And he plays with Patrick Mahomes. He said, man, 8 is different. He said, man, this dude is the offense. He is the coordinator. And as long as he's under center, the Jets are going to have an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers is going to have an opportunity to win either Comeback Player of the Year or MVP. This is arguably the best roster that he has had. He doesn't have to be that. He can be Peyton Manning. Remember, Peyton Manning was a passer on that Super Bowl title, right? And John Elway was a guy that turned around and handed the ball off to Terrell Davis. Like, he has the same elements that those guys had. I think he's still capable of playing at MVP level, but they don't need him to be.
Mad Dog, is it a big deal Rodgers won't play in the preseason?
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, I don't know why you can't play him. If Anthony Richardson can play, Daniel Jones played last week for the Giants. I mean, Rodgers has not. Oh, come on, Stevie. He hasn't played in 18 months. He hasn't played a football game in any shape, way, or form. And I agree with Bart about how well he's going to play. But you mean you're telling me you can't get him out there for a couple of series against the Giants? You did last year. So if you got him out last year in the preseason, why not get him out this year? I don't understand. So he didn't play at all last year. He didn't play at all. And he played last year in the preseason. So they needed him to play last year. And now that it's 12 months later, they're not going to play him this year. What are they afraid of? They couldn't play him against Carolina for a couple of minutes? I mean, have him play a series or 2. I don't see what the problem is. Are they that concerned about injury? I get him in a little game action. I don't have any problem with it. But overall, the bigger issue is I agree with Bart, and I disagree with Canty. Rodgers, I'm going to bet on the person. I'm going to bet on his chip on his shoulder. I'm going to bet on the idea he's got something to prove. He's hearing all the naysayers. I think Rodgers is going to have a big year. So I have no problem with that. But I do think he should play a little bit in the preseason.
Well, I just think the audience has a right to know that, Doggie's a bit compromised this particular morning. He's not in his usual confines of being in studio. Isn't used to, he's not in New York City. He's on the West Coast, got up a bit early. You can see it in his hairdo. You can see it in his eyes. I mean, it's getting up this early is a real struggle for him, and he's not as cogent and lucid as we are accustomed to seeing him be. I understand. I guess you ain't in a position to tease me this morning, huh, Doggy? Roles are reversed. I'm on the East Coast of the country. You're on the West Coast. Now you see how it is. You see how much pressure it brings, okay? So I understand, and I'm going to forgive you just a little bit. But you diluted your argument at the tail end of it by confirming that you agreed with Bart Scott about what you assume Aaron Rodgers is going to do. When you talk about the fact that he played last year, but he didn't play this year, all he played last year was 2 series against the New York Giants and scorched them, okay? And he scorched them, all right? That's what he did. That's all he did, okay? And that was it. That was the first time you saw him in a preseason game since 2018. He normally doesn't play in the preseason at all. So why the urgency that he needs to play now coming off an Achilles? You want to make sure that he's ready for the regular season, and why put him in any kind of jeopardy whatsoever before then? You said that's what practice is for, is what have you. He's Aaron freaking Rodgers, man. He's 40 years of age. He's been in the league for nearly 2 decades. He's a 4-time league MVP. He's one of the elite passers this game has ever seen. We don't have to worry about him. And by the way, Doggy, I said this yesterday, but I'll drop this for you as well. Since 2020, when Aaron Rodgers, it was 37 years of age, minimum of 30 starts, NFL MVP awards, 2, most in the NFL. Completion percentage, 68%, second most in the NFL. Passer rating, 107.9, number 1 in the NFL. Touchdown percentage, 6.9%, number 1 in the NFL. Winning percentage, 70%, 4th behind Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. This is the bad man that we're talking about. He's Aaron Rodgers. You want to get on him? Could you do me a favor and save it for something other than preseason activity?
Well, can I ask you a question, Big Shot? Can I ask you a question? Why did he play last year in the preseason? Why did he play last year in the preseason?
Because he had transitioned from Green Bay to the New York Jets, and he was acclimating himself to an entirely new roster.
He had Hackett. He didn't need any acclimation. He had Nathaniel Hackett there. It was his offense.
No, he didn't have Garrett Wilson.
Dog, it was.
He didn't have the personality he had.
It was about getting used to the weapon. It's about getting used to the weapons. And this year, you talk about the last practice they had. They had a dog-eat-dog practice, dog. They went 2 hours and they went 70 plays. They worked every scenario, because when you get into these preseason games, you can't simulate these situations. You can't do 2 minute. You can't do goal line. You can't go short yards. You can't go 3rd and long, 3rd and short. They had a tough practice, and he was dominant. Defensive line is still legit. We know that that's one of the better defensive lines. He was getting the ball out accurate, and if it would have been a game where we were keeping score and keeping stats, Garrett Wilson would have had about 200 yards receiving.
Did he have a red shirt on, by the way?
He absolutely had a red shirt on, but do you think if he plays in a preseason game that ball ain't coming out in less than 2 seconds?
No,
he ain't getting touched anyway. Did he get touched last year when he played 10 plays, 10 snaps, when he was mocking the guy on the Giants about he didn't know who the hell he was? Aaron freaking Rodgers. That's who he is.
Bart, if you're not worried about him getting hit, then play him. If you're telling me you're not worried about him getting hit,
for what?
Well, he's not going to get hit because he's so. Well, then play him a couple series. Why not?
To appease you?
Hey, Dougie, let me ask you a question.
Hasn't seen him in 2 years.
Bart, let me take this over. Bart. Hey, Dougie, Dougie, when you're exercising and stuff like that, right? Do you still do the same exercises now that you did a decade ago, 2 decades ago? Or have you changed it up?
Same exercises, Steve.
Yes,
I run like a
You look like a jazzercise type of guy, Doggy.
I do my 3,000 push-ups.
You run like the wind? Is that what you just said? You run like the wind?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it hasn't changed one bit. So if I reached out to Mrs. Mad Dog, and I reached out to the kiddies, the Mad Dog clan, and I asked them what your exercise routine is like now compared to a decade ago or 2 decades ago, they're gonna tell me there's no change. That's what you're telling me?
No change.
Doggy, you got shake weights, Doggy?
He's such a liar. He's such a liar. I mean, you're going to lie on national television. You're going to lie on national television just to make your point. You're going to lie on national television. That's why he's got his head down. All we got to do is look at the footage. We see you ain't exercising the same. You understand? You're a little bit bigger now, Doggy. You ain't as small as you once were. I mean, we got the footage now. You can't get away with it now. It's not the same. So the fact of the matter is, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. You prioritize, and you're a bit more diplomatic and judicious with your time and how you utilize it. Years ago, he played in the preseason. He doesn't need to now. He's Aaron Rodgers, bro. He's Aaron Rodgers. You adjust to him, not the other way around. That's how this works.
You can just drop the mic right there.
Series wouldn't be the end of the
got,
world. And how about the Jet fan? How about the Jet fan that doesn't know what to expect out of the quarterback who's waited years to have a QB? Can't they see him play a couple
All right, the Jet fan wants to actually see him play more than a couple snaps in a real game.
Molly. Let me answer that question. You know what they should expect? An improvement, because they ain't made the postseason for 13 seasons. They'll be all right. You've been suffering this long. You'll be all right. They'll be just fine. Don't worry about the damn Jet fans. They better show up in MetLife Stadium. They better be happy. They got a September to look forward to. All they should be praying about is Aaron Rodgers being healthy. Don't even worry about week 1 if he stinks up the joint and they get blown out by San Francisco. You'll get over it. You've had worse to deal with over the years. As long as that brother's on the field week after week, that's all the Jets should be concerned about. Everything else will take care of itself.